Hi, this is Kevin Ranfeld, and last night we had an issue during our Financial Peace University class of an individual that was trying to create their budget for February. They'd already created January's, they were trying to create their budget for February. And we had an issue arise to where, well, to make a long story short, she ended up with two emergency funds, multiple or duplicate emergency fund items in her Everydollar budget, and couldn't figure out how to delete it. Well, come to find out, as I did some more research, that actually from the app, I can't find where you can actually delete line items from your budget from the app. But if you do log in via a web browser on a computer, tablet, something like that, you can. So currently, I am logged in on my Mac, and as you see, I've got this opened up in Chrome. And as you see, when I hover my mouse over, there's a little dots that come up. And typically, what you would do to delete a line item is just highlight it, and there would be a trash can right here. Well, the problem came with the fact that when I tried to demonstrate this and do this on an emergency fund, that it did not allow me to delete an line item called emergency fund that had been set up as a fund, which is indicated by the little piggy bank next to it. And I found out that this is true only for those that are labeled emergency fund. I don't know if this is was built in by design because of Day's tenacity of always having an emergency fund, because another fund of another name, as you can see, whoops, as you can see, you can delete this. If I click on the delete of the trash can, it asks me to confirm, yes, and it's gone. But I cannot do that for my duplicate emergency fund line item. I was about to open up a case with support to figure out how we could get rid of a duplicate emergency fund when actually I stumbled across another way. It's a little bit of a workaround because you actually would have to delete the whole savings group. If I highlight the savings group, you can see that it says delete group. If I click that, it's going to ask me, do I really want to do this? Yes, delete, and it is gone, along with both emergency funds, okay? However, I simply scroll down to the bottom, click add group, and then I can re-add the savings group again, and then start fresh so that we only have one line item. If I add the item, emergency fund, spell it right, add what I want to budget it for that month, and then come over here to the drop down of make this a fund and go ahead and say, make it a fund. And now I have it to where it should be. However, the only problem is it is now at the end of my budget instead of towards the top of my budget. And since Dave always says, pay yourself first, we want to move that and get that back where it should be. I simply come over here to the arrows, and if I hover my mouse, you can see that it turns into directions, and I can actually drag and drop up to the top. And actually, I want to actually make this, I think we should pay God first. So for me, I'm going to drop it right underneath my giving, still towards the top of my budget. So now we have this back to where it looks like it should be with only one line item. That would be the fix. Now, if you're in this where you have multiple items within savings, I know this can be a little bit of a pain. You will have to add them back in as well. And if for some reason you had funds already in your emergency fund, you see now that it starts with starting balance of 0 and the savings goal is 0. So we'll have to go ahead and edit that back in. For instance, our savings goal we'll put as $1,000. And then let's say we actually had money already in our emergency fund. And so we want to reflect that. We can simply change, whoops, simply change. It's not being very simple for me today. Change this amount to $500. I lost that somehow. Click save, and then it reflects back to where we were before. The only thing you'll lose is your history of your spending history. And that's it. So that is how we can clean that up. And hopefully this happens at a beginning stage of our budget so that we don't have a bunch of history gone or whatnot for our actual emergency fund. So that's a workaround to actually get rid of multiple emergency fund line items. Again, to this date, I haven't found anything else that I can't actually delete other than an emergency fund. And if that changes, I will be sure to let you know. But hopefully this helps to clean up your budget line items should you find yourself in the same position.